From WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to Beat the Champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Paul Peck, along with Hall of Fame bowler Sue Novoitsky, and welcome to this special edition of Beat the Champ. We have had a lot of fun over the last 5 years, taking this sport to another level, seeing all the outstanding bowlers in Western New York, and seeing the reaction from the bowling community has been great as well.
Absolutely. There's so many great bowlers in this community that don't do this for a living, but still come out here and perform on the weekends as if they do it for a living. And, and as far as the community goes, I get so much input from everyone, and we have seen so many great matches throughout the years that it's fun to actually look back and see a couple of them from time to time.
All right, so here we go. It's the best of Beat the Champ.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with our new champion, man from Canada, new face to Beat the Champ. What's your plan going into this next match now that you're coming in as the champ?
Just to try to hit the pocket and stay clean, pick up my spares, so I hope the opponent misses.
And there was a big emphasis on score. I know you've been here all day, you've been watching the scores, and does that play into your mind now that, before it looked like 270 was losing, and now all of a sudden it's sort of tamed down a bit?
No, I still think the high scores are going to be there. You just have to hope that you carry more than your opponent carries.
Well, that's exactly right, and we'll look forward to seeing what happens here. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with Josh Nowak. We've been seeing you a couple times out here, but you've been a little busy lately. Got a new endeavor, your new pro shop. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I opened up my own shop, 10 in the Pit Pro Shop. It's been keeping me busy. It's been going pretty good. We hopefully keeps on going good.
All right, let's talk about where you're located.
2463 Niagara Falls Boulevard in Amherst, New York.
All right, so there you go. So we'll watch you bowl, but we'll also know that you've drilled your own equipment and you're out there for everyone else, right?
Yep.
All right, well, bowl well. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Sue.
All right.
It's Nowak and Moreau in match number one from here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. Ryan Moreau coming in off the win over Dana Vojtovic against Josh Nowak. Fifth show appearance for Big Josh, 4 wins and 3 losses. Last time we saw Josh, he won a couple of matches down at Lucky Lanes in Fredonia a little earlier on in the year, and Josh is a guy that we kind of feel like we see Josh every other month or so. He's a good bowler, and he's able to qualify for the show, and a good guy to watch and a fun guy to watch. And here we go. Crouching down, bringing that 6'7" down to about 4.5, and
good job.
Whatever he's doing, it worked.
Where he hit right there, where he's playing, where everything's moved in a lot deeper, obviously because the lanes have been used a lot, but he was about the 3rd arrow, and that's kind of where Dana had made that shot, where he thought it was a bad shot, and I said I was surprised he didn't stay in there. I'm thinking there's a real good shot in there, and Josh has found it.
And that all comes from the practice that he's been doing for the last, hour or so here at the TBC. And Ryan Moreau in his first frame will leave the 7-pin and work on grabbing that spare. Ryan from Port Colborne, Ontario, just the 2nd Canadian bowler we've had on the show. Paul Tatone is the guy that we had who bowled in Batavia
back in December, right?
He was from St. Catharines, and Paul and Ryan know each other, and they're the proud bearers of the maple leaf here on Beat the Champ. And it's a spare in frame number 1 for Ryan Moreau. Ryan did a nice job in that win over Dana Vojtovic to wrap up the end of last week's show. A 248 to 163 win over Dana Vojtovic when the wheels kind of came off a little bit for Dana. Yeah. But Josh, at a point in the match when it was still very close, rattled off 4 straight strikes to take control while Dana was struggling.
And he invested in this game. He maybe didn't have the best carry to start out with, but he stuck with it, and if he did tweak it, it was ever so slightly, and ended up working out for him. He didn't give up the pocket at any time.
Yeah, and Sue will talk a little bit about, we talked about it on last week's show, Ryan using a little bit of a different kind of ball, and it appears to be working out for him. Certainly worked there.
Yep, I mean, he's choosing to go with a little less power by using urethane, but it's smoothing the lane out for him, and he's not getting anything erratic, not overhook or underhook. We saw a lot of 2-pins today from the right-handers when they did make a mistake, and this smooths it out for him.
Well, speaking of power, that's what you get from Josh Nowak, who was able to put that big, long body of his into the throw, but
not the first one of these we've seen today.
That's powerfully upsetting based on what he left here.
Same lane, too, so there might be something there, in whether it be a rack or something like that, because that didn't look like a bad shot either.
Yeah,
but second 710 we've seen today.
Second 710, first
or
on
this
that,
month, rather.
Right, first on lane 38. And Josh will go for one and get it. So not the ideal way to get things going in frame number 2 with an open, but it's still early. And Josh will slide over, and Pro Shop owner and operator, as you might be able to tell on the back of the shirt. There's Janelle Saban and the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. She'll keep us up to date on all the scores throughout the rest of the show, right frame by frame. So Josh is 30 years old, from Niagara Falls, in the bowling business, as we mentioned. There's a nice, big, powerful Josh Nowak strike.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
You and I are gonna get out. We gotta get out on that putt-putt course there. And,
I know, every year I look at it.
Maybe we need to determine the qualifying order by how the bowlers do on the putt-putt course.
We talk about that. All you've got to do is hit a bowling ball with a golf club.
That's right. That didn't go so well, did it? And it started off good right over that third arrow where Ryan wants to be, but didn't quite break the way he wanted it to. So his run of 5 strikes in a row comes to an end. That was over 18 miles an hour on that roll as well. There's your updated Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. Don't forget, top qualifier in our round of 24 at every stop of Beat the Champ. Wins a television valued at $500 from Dirt Cheap TV. That's not one Ryan's going to remember.
No, that
it's
is
a
so big.
7-frame open.
That is so big. That took his lead and made it put Josh in the lead, sitting on the bench.
Just like that.
Yep.
He had rattled off 5 in a row, just like that. One bad frame, not only, and now all of a sudden you're playing from behind. Let's see how he bounces back. That's a pretty good bounce back. Well, we'll see how much it costs Ryan, because now Josh, on 5 in a row of his own, like any good bowler, sees the door open.
Right.
The door is ajar. And let's see how Josh responds.
Good shot.
Yeah, great shot. Just couldn't get that 10 down. Looked to me like a pin literally spun kind of right around it.
Well, that was good. That was good news for Ryan, because that kept him from running away from him and kept this close. Josh is only going to be up 1 if he makes a spare.
Is it a challenge for Josh at his height at all to be a good bowler? You know, and the reason I bring that up is, if you've noticed, he really crunches himself down on his approach, and is that a plus or a minus?
I've always thought tall, more than tall, but the long arms was always good for bowling, because it kept your swing. You had that long weight. Your swing, their swings are so beautiful on long people. He's very tall though, so he doesn't have to get that low. That's his way of getting to stay. He's choosing to get low to stay low. But at some point, he's going to bend his knees and slide and get low. That's just somewhere along the way he learned to crouch early, so that he never had to go down into his approach. He just stayed down. So I'm going to say over time, maybe a bit on your knees. But anybody, you know, we're all carrying our full body weight on our left leg as we slide. So.
Gotcha. All right, so let's see how Ryan, he's already bounced back from the open with a strike, and now back to bringing them together with 2 in a row.
All right, so he just put himself back in the lead with that.
So we've exchanged the lead here a couple times over the last few frames, so we're headed to the 10th in a tight battle, says the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard.
So a double here will secure that win for him.
So that's what's facing Ryan Moreau. Can he win his 2nd in a row? Ooh. Once again, a brief moment of a 7-10 split staring him down before the 7 comes out, but not that double that he needs to clinch the win. So now he'll have to work on the spare here. Right off the bat, first match of week 3 here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center, coming right down to the final frame. Oh, ouch. That is a very bad miss for Ryan Moreau. And that is not what he expected and not what he wanted. 223 now on the board for Ryan Moreau as a final score. What's Josh need now?
He just needs a spare, and he's spare.
So a crucial miss of the single pin spare hurts Ryan Moreau and leaves Josh Nowak with a chance to win. He won't need the spare because he gets the strike. So Josh Nowak with a clutch response gets the strike in the 10th frame, and it will be Josh Nowak that will move on to match number 2. We will wrap this one up and get you ready for that match when Sue and I return to the Tonawanda Bowling Center. Ryan and I were just joking, there's no positive exchange rate on the scores, so unfortunately it winds up being a loss for you. What happened on the one in the 10th frame that really determined how this match went?
I swung the ball out way too far the first shot, left the corner pin, and then just missed my mark for the spare.
Yeah, but you had a nice middle, you know, rattled off 5 in a row. I mean, it looked like you really were kind of in a groove there.
I was, but he's a good bowler, so just kept throwing strikes. It's tough to beat strikes.
All right, well, it's good to have you as our 2nd Canadian. We need more of them. Get those guys, load those guys up, bring them across the Peace Bridge and get them over here.
All right, well, there's a couple of us coming back for the next one.
Sounds good. Ryan Moreau put up a nice performance last week. Tough one today. Match number 2, Josh Nowak, Frank Diminuco. It's coming up next.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with Frank Diminuco, a new face to Beat the Champ, but not a new face to the qualifiers. You've been coming out and supporting the tournament in bowling?
Yes, ever since I started coming back, been coming back to every house as much as I can. I've made the 24 a bunch of times, but finally cracked the TV show this week.
Was that exciting when you knew you made the show?
Absolutely. I had my kids here with me, and they were excited when they heard I was going to be 8th, and so they'll be here today. They'll be excited.
All right. Do you see these lanes changing at all from what you qualified on now that they've been bowled on?
They're hooking a little more early. Just got to stay consistent, stay slow, and just keep speed up.
Okay, you good with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Match number 2, it's Nowak versus Frank Diminuco, making his Beat the Champ debut. He'll get things started here for us. Frank is from Tonawanda, 33 years old. Full-time employed by the Coca-Cola Bottling Company, and as you learned, Frank has been a consistent qualifying attempt person here, but this is his first chance to get on the show.
I know, it's been, obviously we're going in our 3rd year, we're in our 3rd year, and I'm sure it was very exciting for him to finally crack that top 9.
Well, good for Frank. It's his Beat the Champ debut, and his first frame will take 9 pins down. Good cheering section on hand. His dad, Frank Sr., his mom, Marianne, sons, Frank Jr., Kessler, Caleb, and his girlfriend, Caitlin, all here cheering on Frank's Beat the Champ debut. Let's see if he can grab the spare for the first frame, and he does.
Good spare.
So get a little bit of the butterflies out of the way, get those nerves done. You're on the board, and now focus again on some more serious bowling. And now we get our first look at Josh Nowak, who grabbed his 5th win here on Beat the Champ with the victory over Ryan Moreau in our first match. Fifth time we've seen Josh here on Beat the Champ.
Nice shot.
Terrific shot. Almost 18 miles per hour on that shot down the lanes. And Josh stares the pins down, waits for the ball to return, and lines himself up. Big, strong, powerful guy throws a big, strong, powerful ball. And that's what we saw when he rattled off 5 strikes in a row in that first match.
Oh,
wobbling, and not going down.
Pin came across, but came in front of it.
So when it comes in front, it's not as likely to knock it down?
No, it just narrowly missed it.
Gotcha. So both guys, a couple of sticky pins here for the 32-year-old from Niagara Falls, Josh Nowak. He'll pull out the spare ball, line it up. A little purple power on the spare ball gets Josh Nowak a 2nd frame spare. So now let's see how Frank responds after that opener, the debut. Kenmore Lanes is his regular home for Sunday morning bowling, is Frank Diminuco with a nice 234 average there.
And that's on a Sunday morning league. That's oftentimes those morning leagues you haven't dressed
You haven't
late
quite
the night before.
awakened from the night before, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so, Sunday's not your typical night bowling place, but it looks like that's where he bowls exclusively.
Mm-hmm. 7 career 300 games, 2 career 800 series with a high of 811 for Frank Diminuco. A little interesting on the approach here, I noticed with Frank. Lots of movement, lots of little herky-jerky, and I don't mean that in any way but an observation. But as you've taught me, it doesn't really matter how you do it or how it looks, as long as it gets you to the right point and gets that ball in the right position down the lanes.
Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on that. I know he uses the full approach. He stands way back on the approach. And for a tall guy like himself, that's a way of generating power. You wouldn't think he would need that, but he does generate his ball speed from that.
There's a sort of an interesting stutter step in his approach, which I've noticed too. Now, that certainly didn't go the way Frank wanted it to. There's a cluster of pins staring him down here as he tries to grab his 3rd straight spare.
I'm really surprised to see his speed at 18 miles an hour. I thought it might be a little faster than that. It just tells you how fast Rocket Rob Piccoli really does throw it.
Good spare pickup. So it's 3 frames, 3 spares for Frank Diminuco. Might not get it done, though. He's going to have to start striking. But a lot of that will depend on how Josh responds.
Right now, nobody's running away from him.
That is true. There's Janelle Sabin in the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard with the early scores in this match between Diminuco and Nowak.
Good shot.
Just about as perfect as you can get for big Josh Nowak. Summertime bowling here on Beat the Champ. It's we like the ability to keep this sport going all year long, even though most of the bowlers kind of shut things down a little bit this time of year. How busy did you want to stay or try to stay during the summer months?
You know, typically I ended up taking the summer off. Just always working in the bowling business. You know, I wasn't in the bowling center as much, and you know, the balls somehow there was always a better excuse not to go. And this year I have decided to keep up with a little bit more. I've gotten the bowling bug. Maybe it's because of this show or watching all this bowling or talking about bowling. But I'm bowling the summer sweeper this year at Transit and on the tougher shots, because when I go bowl my tournaments, I find that the lack of experience on these tougher shots really shows. So just to trying to get a little better at recognizing those conditions.
Spare in the fourth frame for Josh Nowak. So 2 strikes and 2 spares for Josh through the first 4.
This looks like a good time to take a break. We'll be back with more Beat the Champ right after this. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
Our qualifying for next month's trip up to Lockport and Alley Grant Lane's already over with, so we've got the field all set for that one. We'll find out who will be our returning champion. It's either going to be Josh, Frank, or Sam Carson, who's our next bowler up. One of those 3 guys will advance on to Alley Grant Lane's for the series of shows in July.
Right, actually, as today's show airs, we're taping for the next month. It's July 7th will be our next tape. If anybody wanted to come out and watch the tape.
One more time, the same thing for Frank. That, you know, you feel bad for him at this point. He just can't get that 10-pin. So yeah, if you're again, if you want a little nice air-conditioned break, or if it happens to be a rainy day, then come on out and check out the taping.
Well, we're taping as this show airs, so.
Oh, so it's getting a little late then.
Right, we'll have to look at for the next month, but
Okay.
I'm thinking we're back at Brad Angelo the month after, but
Well,
you check
make
the
sure
Facebook page.
The Facebook page is the best place to keep up on all the latest developments and all the latest qualifying dates and times. That's
Right.
going to be your outlet for all that information. There's the strike from Frank Diminuco. Took him a lot longer than he wanted to, but he gets it in the 7th frame. You know, and then as quickly as we turn around here, we'll be back right into the league season when the fall roll. We're not that far away when the fall rolls around.
I know, and it feels like it just got nice out.
Yep.
Well, hopefully we're rewarded with a lot of warm weather for a while yet.
And we can guarantee you that even when we get to October and November, some of these guys will still be wearing their shorts.
I hope for good reason. Nice shot. So there's a first double.
2 in a row for Josh Nowak. He needed that. It's been one of those matches where both guys have been fishing a little bit, so it's good to see somebody finally grab 2 in a row.
Right, and that will put him up. That puts him up 28 pins, and we're halfway through. So anything can still happen, but that was a good place for a double right there.
So double in 6 and 7. Let's see what Josh does in 8. Make it a triple.
Another strike.
And maybe Josh has kind of found the rhythm here a little bit.
Well, let's put Frank in a position where he's going to have to strike just to try to stay within 30 pins, 3 marks. And it's getting late in the game, so. Oh, there it goes.
Finally getting some breaks on that 10 pin. That one was a little bit of a slow motion fall on the 10 pin. Don't forget, top qualifier in every month's round of 24 will win a television valued at $500 from Dirt Cheap TV. David Tolkaz won our TV from here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center.
Nice.
That's 3 in a row for Frank Diminuco. It may be a little bit too late for him to have found the groove, but he certainly is finally settling in.
Well, you never know what's going to happen. We still have a couple frames left.
Well, we've had more than our share of matches that have come right down to the last frame, last ball, so.
Oh, got got that 10 out. That was risky.
So now staring down at the 2-8 for Josh Nowak here in the 9th frame. That one seemed to lose a lot of momentum as it made its way down the lanes.
Great spare. That's not an easy spare, especially when you need it.
Why is it so tough when maybe you might think, well, both pins are right in a row there, so just hit the front one and they're both going to go down?
Yeah, well, that's as long as it was that easy to just hit the front one. I mean, when you're shooting a spare, a single pin spare, you've got all that margin to the right and all that margin to the left when there's no margin. We saw, I think Franny make the 2-8 like in that funny way where it came in and hit the
back. Yeah, hit the 8 first before the 2, right?
That's a very rare way to do it.
Good strike in the 10th here for Josh Nowak, who looks like he's on his way to a victory. There you get the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard as Josh Nowak finishes things out here in the 10th frame.
Okay, so what he needs. Still needs a good shot. There we go.
Doing all that bowling math in your head there, I can see
I
the wheels
was. You
turning.
see that? Can you smell the smoke? I'm looking at how could this still be this close? But it was. It was. But
that was a big strike.
He cemented the win with that strike. Yes.
All right. So Josh Nowak with the 2nd consecutive strike here in the 10th frame is going to get himself a win. We'll get you ready for match number 3 when Sue and I return. It's BTC at the TBC, and we'll BRB. Be right back. Good late comeback, but just a little short for Frank Diminuco, 225 to 221. It seemed like you had a little bit of that debut nerves there early on in the match, and then you calmed down.
Definitely at first, ball was driving but wasn't carrying. Missed one spare, and it literally was the difference of the game here.
What'd you find towards the end of the match where you started to bowl much better?
I started to see if I moved inside a hair more, the ball was carrying tighter to the pocket. It was carrying better, and just a frame too late.
All right, well, you have been a regular at all of our qualifyings. You're finally on the show, so we expect both of those things to continue.
Oh, I hope so too.
All right, Frank Diminuco with his debut here on Beat the Champ. We got our final match of the week. It's coming up next.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with Sam Carson. One thing that stands out to me about you is that you can bowl with either hand, right?
That's correct.
How do you choose?
Whatever feels good. Well, today anyway. But in my leagues, I gotta do it at the beginning of the season. So
when you chose to qualify for Beat the Champ in the qualifier, could you start with whichever hand you wanted?
yeah, and I bowled right-handed in the qualifier, and I'm kind of leaning toward bowling lefty on the show.
Well, that's interesting. So maybe we won't know until you actually go up to bowl?
I kind of know.
All right, well, we won't tell anybody else. We'll keep it interesting. Good luck, and that's going to be fun to watch.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Match number 3, Nowak and Carson to wrap up our third week here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. Josh Nowak with 2 wins in a row with 244 and 225 scores. The guy that'll try to put that to an end is Sam Carson, making his 3rd appearance here on Beat the Champ. He has yet to win, but Sam has a little bit of a built-in advantage. He is a regular bowler here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. We'll see if that knowledge pays off.
I know I keep seeing his name flash up on the board for 300 games as we sit here and look at the monitors.
Well, he threw 300 in the roll-off, or in the qualifying, I believe, leading up to this event. So Sam just did that not that long ago for the 17th career 300 game of his bowling lifetime. First throw from Sam. who brings one of the more unique characteristics of any bowler in Western New York. He is ambidextrous.
Yes.
And if you don't know what that means, it means he can bowl with his left or his right hand. And he is equally as adept either way.
At a pretty high level. But I do believe that in my interview with him, he mentioned that he qualified right-handed. So, and then chose to bowl a show left-handed,
Well,
which would be...
we'll have to ask Sam that
we'd
question.
have to double-check that.
We'll check that, and the only thing that I could think of would be Sam, being the smart bowler that he is, says right-handed, I'll put up my score because all matters is my score. Left-handed in a one-to-one matchup against more than likely right-handed guys, so I've got a little more of a fresher part of the lane. Maybe it was a strategic decision.
I don't know. That's a good guess, because once you're lined up and you've bowled well enough to actually crack the top 9, it would seem odd to me that you would change. So
yeah,
we'll have to talk to him and see.
We've had Sam on the show before. It's a very unique situation. Nice strike, frame number 1 for Josh.
Nice shot by Josh.
But I mean, you know, literally, Sam averages 216 as a lefty, 221 as a righty. He's got 13 right-handed 300 games and 4 left-handed 300 games. I mean,
know,
it's amazing to think what he can do. And you know, and it's one of the questions you don't normally have to ask a bowler before one of these matches. Which hand are you bowling with?
It's one thing to be able to throw a ball left-handed and right-handed, let alone bowl 300s with them at that level.
Well, Josh Nowak is strictly a right-hander, and as long as he keeps knocking pins down like that, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, he switched balls here and trying to be a little straighter, actually, keeping it in the middle of the lane. Still kind of in that general area, but he chose to switch balls.
As you and I mentioned, Sam bowls here on Mondays and Fridays at the Tonawanda Bowling Center in a couple of leagues here. He is 53 years old, from right here in Tonawanda.
Great
and
shot.
There's a strike in frame number 2.
Tournament rules keep you from being able to switch midstream, but
I would expect that, right? I mean, you know, you shouldn't be able to do that, but you know, it's
if you can, you should be able to.
I guess that's a good point. If you have the ability to do it, you might as well.
Just like two-handed, if you have the ability to do it.
You know, wouldn't it be kind of funny, like if Sam was just better making spares with his right hand,
right.
that he would throw to first with his left, and if he needed a spare, he'd flip it over to his right.
Well, you're right. What about corner pins, shooting 7 and 10s?
Yeah.
It'd be easier to shoot them with the opposite hand.
You know, and again, maybe you can explain this, but you know, he uses different balls, whether he's bowling left and right.
Oh, sure.
Because he lists the different balls that he uses here.
Well, they have to be drilled different for each hand.
Well, of course, but I mean, even you would think maybe it's the same characteristic ball, just drilled for left and for right. Oh no, they're completely different balls.
Oh yeah, because your strength and your
hook and all that other stuff.
is still going to be different, right?
So is that just Sam's convenient way to be able to tell his family to buy him more bowling gear?
I don't know if anybody wants to double their investment in bowling balls. They're pretty expensive.
We just had Father's Day, so I don't know whether Sam asked to replenish the left-handed supply or the right-handed supply.
Well, I can tell you one person that's happy is the guy who drills his bowling balls.
Oh yeah. Are we bowling a lefty or a righty today, Sam? Josh Nowak with 4 straight strikes to open up with. So we're headed towards what looks like it's going to be a pretty fun match here, because Sam is 2 in a row as well. 53 years old, 221 average, employed as a bakery associate at Tops Markets. Right now, Sam is cooking up some good bowling. 3 in a row.
Sam said, "You're in my house now. I'm not
That's
making
right.
it that easy."
Welcome to Tonawanda. He has won numerous tournaments here, particularly up in the Tonawanda's USBC, and team titles and individual titles. So, highly accomplished bowler is Sam Carson. It's good to get him back on the show.
Nice shot.
I tell you, these guys are. It doesn't matter that these lanes may be a little worn out after a busy day of bowling, because these guys are ripping it up here. as you get a look at the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard, manned by Janelle Sabin, you see everything but strikes except for Sam Carson's first frame spare. And a couple of times Josh has flirted with the 7-10 and gotten lucky. Didn't get lucky that time. So
Third time, same exact shot, same leave. Just no warning signs for this.
You know, and here you go. He opens up with 4 consecutive, and now all of a sudden, facing a 7-10, leaves an open and puts Sam right back into this one. Not that he wasn't in it anyway.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
It's a lot of pins.
Our last match that looked like a rather sizable win for Josh Nowak wound up with only a 4-pin victory.
Come on. Come on.
And just can't get that 6-pin to go. So the run of 4 in a row comes to an end for Sam, and he'll have to muster up a spare.
That ball seemed just a little bit slower, like a little less firm as he's been, and showed in that 6-pin.
Now, you may notice, and I'll let you explain, you know, Sam plays with a rather hefty, you know, sort of robotic-looking brace on the left arm. How is that helping him?
Well, I'm not an expert on braces, as I've never used one, but I have bowled with people who have. I don't know which one that is. They have them to the point where they can adjust it.
It's the RoboCop edition.
Yeah. Well, what's it's doing, it's allowing no movement in his hand, and it's keeping his hand in the same position at all times. And it really is quite a helping device, you know, because that movement in your wrist is something we all deal with. And you can almost see as the ball comes off his hand, he's got some loft, and you can see where the rotation is on his hands. He can't do anything else but that.
So there's no spinning of the wrist, there's no bending the wrist back past 90 degrees either.
Right. But it makes your roll very, very consistent because you can't throw it any other way.
Is it something that is prone due to injury sometimes, or older bowlers tend to like it a little more, or just something that you decide helps you stay in line better?
I've seen a lot of women use them because they're not as strong, and because Sam's probably right hand dominant, so his left wrist is probably not as strong as his right.
So it would be interesting to find out if he wears one on his right when he bowls right-handed.
It would be interesting to find that out.
7th frame for Josh Nowak. Right in the pocket and a strike.
Big strike there.
Little bit of a delay there to see if the 7 was going to go down. It did.
Well, that strike right there brings us back to a 2-pin match. So Josh is only down 2 if he strikes here, and actually he won't be down because he'll have the double up when Sam only has a spare up. So that was a big strike there to put him right back even in this match.
So that was a double for Josh. He looks for 3 in a row in frame 8. Will he get it? He will.
Wow. And that's a little right of his target that he's been playing, but he's got a little bit of area, which is wonderful.
So after Sam rattled off 4 strikes in a row, then went with a couple of spares in a row, he'll need to get back to doing some striking here to keep this one tight. He's got his brother Joe cheering him on. His mom Alice is here as well. Yeah, just didn't have a lot of oomph on that one, and not enough oomph to get that 7-pin out.
No, it's very important that Sam, that his timing stays good. It seems like his feet may have gone a little bit fast. The ball's coming off a little sooner. He doesn't have that firm loft that he has when he throws it really good. And like I said, I'm guessing that we'll have to find out that he's more right-hand dominant. And I think he does have more right-handed 300s and more right-handed accolades. So.
And nice spare, 3rd in a row for Sam. Higher average and more 300 games right-handed. Yes. So again, maybe this was a strategic decision for this match to go with the left-handed. Maybe he looked at the lineup and realized we'd only had 2 other left-handers amongst our other bowlers,
Could
our
be.
other 10 bowlers that were scheduled, 9 bowlers that were scheduled for this.
Good shot.
Now a much-needed strike for Sam to continue to put a little pressure on Josh here in the 9th frame. Winner of this match will get a week off and then advance on to Allie Brandt Lanes for next month's Beat the Champ.
Great shot.
4 in a row for Josh Nowak. So not all that far a drive from here in Tonawanda to Allie Brandt Lanes in Lockport. So whoever wins this one will have that opportunity. And we've had some good bowling over the years up at Allie Brandt Lanes.
Absolutely.
Befitting the fine tradition of its namesake, Allie Brandt.
Strike here. Oh, a strike would have cemented this. He did not get. So
Had to wait and see if that one rolled over.
I know, or watching it.
A little under 18 miles per hour on that throw by Josh Nowak. So no clincher yet.
No clincher.
So Sam's gonna have a chance going to the 10th frame?
Absolutely. He's going to have to double. If he makes the spare, Sam will have to double. And get good count on his last ball.
Spare ball, 10th frame. Got it.
That's a big spare right there.
Chance to add a little more pin count here with 1 more ball, which if he missed the spare, he wasn't going to get that chance.
Absolutely. Then he wouldn't have needed the double to win. So he wanted to force that strike. Because, you know, anything can happen on your first ball.
Yes. If you watch this show on any regular basis, you know that almost anything can happen anytime.
Yeah.
Final throw for Josh Nowak. And it's a strike. So that gets Josh a 245 score posted up and now leaves Sam Carson with the need for a double.
Double and 9.
Chance to win. Double and 9 for a chance for Sam to win.
Deja vu, I feel like we've said this before.
Yeah, this has got to be at least the 3rd or 4th time we've gone to the last bowler in the last frame with a chance to win. And it won't happen. Just didn't have enough on that one to take out the 7 and the 4, and that means Josh Nowak is going to be our winner, and it's going to be a sweep of the week for Josh Nowak. It means he gets to come back and bowl again in 2 weeks at Allie Brandt Lanes. We'll talk to Sam, we'll talk to Josh, and wrap it up when we return to Tonawanda right after this. 245 to 227. Josh Nowak with the win over Sam Carson comes right down to that last frame. That's what every bowler wants, right?
Exactly.
What happened?
I just got a little soft with it and went right through the face. Nothing you can do.
Yeah, and just to wrap up, because we talked an awful lot about it, how do you decide whether you're going to bowl lefty or righty? What went into the decision here today?
Well, today I just wanted to have some fun. I mean, I lost both my other matches right-handed. I figured, why not? And my score was way better.
See all of our in-depth analysis, and it's just simply Sam's like, I didn't bowl good, let's say I'll try the other way.
Yeah. Well, Josh, business as usual. You looked effortless, but I know you put some work into it because I saw some ball changes there. So take us through that.
There was a lot of carry down the middle of the lane, and the symmetrical ball that I was using was just coming up lane. I had to make a move right, actually, instead of left. There was a lot of friction to the right and just nothing but carry down in the middle. So I just made the move right with a stronger ball, and it seemed to work.
So you think your ball drilling expertise helps in making those decisions?
No, Brad Angelo helps making those decisions at Bowl U.
Back to Bowl U, right?
Yeah, always Bowl U.
Okay, that teaches you how to move it. It worked for you well, and great bowling today.
Thanks.
Josh is going to hang out with Sam a little bit and ask him if he has any other buddies that bowl lefty and righty, because he's a bowling pro shop owner and he would love to sell double the amount of equipment.
Chris Leviak, right over there.
Oh, see? We knew you'd know him. Hey, Sue and I are going to come back and wrap up this week here at Tonawanda to get you ready for a really fun 4th show. That is coming up next. Well, Sue, sum up for me what we saw this month here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. You know, some big names, some great performances, then some struggles, and then we kind of ended on a high note.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking forward to seeing what was going to happen as far as, like, we had the beginning where they were big names, great bowlers, and then it came down to maybe lesser known names, but experience had a lot to do with it, and I really like to see that bowling knowledge really played out at the end.
Yeah, and maybe Josh Nowak is on his way to being one of those big names because he wins 3 in a row. He will advance in 2 weeks to Alley Brant Lanes. Fun for you. We started off with all those crazy strikes, and then we got a little bit where you got challenged on your scoring work.
Yeah, if there's anything I've learned in these past 3 years doing this, it's don't get comfortable because it's going to change week to week, game to game. So I'm always ready.
Be ready for anything, and that includes everybody watching at home. You never know what you're going to get. Next week, it's going to be a cool exhibition match. It's going to be adult and youth bowlers teaming up to bowl against each other for a little Tonawanda Bowling Center title. Make sure you join us then, and then we'll get back to the competition in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching this week's edition of Beat the Champ.